everyone, and welcome to Draft Dreams, an Inside the Birds presentation profiling NFL draft prospects chasing their big dreams. I'm your host, Andrew DiCecco from InsideTheBirds.com, and joining me today, one of my personal favorite defensive backs in this draft class, a first-team All-American, a 2023 Jim Thorp Award winner. I'm talking about Air Force safety Trey Taylor. Trey, thanks for being here. How are you?
No, I'm really good. It's an honor being here. Thank you for having me on. And yeah, I'm doing good. Just getting ready like everybody else, day by day for the call.
So this is kind of an odd holding period in the pre-draft process, Trey. What has this process been like for you? I guess right now, as we're moving towards the draft, just 3 weeks out.
It's been a lot actually. More than I expected with visits, with whether they're the 30 visits or the local visits, talks with financial advisors, talks with my agency, and then just at the same time trying to spend time with family and friends, with training, like all that kind of leaves me just a few hours in a day for myself. But I'm having fun with it. I'm glad that I'm, starting to get all this attention. So I can't be mad at this at all. I'm just happy to be in this situation, and yeah, just taking it literally hour by hour right now.
Well, it's long overdue for you getting this attention. Do you have any visits on the docket?
Yeah, so I had Baltimore, and then I got one with Tampa Bay, one with Las Vegas, and one with Denver. So
Oh, great.
yeah, we have those
That's
coming up in not of course this week, but next week and the week after.
any local days?
No local days. I had one that the Cowboys invited me on, but I respectfully declined.
Got you. So I have to talk about pro day. One, where were you training for that?
I was training at Exos here in Frisco.
Oh, great. So, what were some of your goals going into the training process that you wanted to showcase on your pro day, which I believe was on March 14th?
Yeah, so some of the goals I had were a lot of mine, but some were even fueled from past combines, and then especially this combine this year. Since that combine came before my pro day, I was able to look at some other guys' numbers, and that kind of helped me align with more of where I set my goals, because a lot of that comparison is going to be with this year's numbers, but I set that off of that and what I feel like I was capable of doing. And so I hit a lot of my numbers. I hit every number that I wanted to besides the 40. I was 0.04 off, but the speed there wasn't off of any of the safety. So not too mad about that. Just really happy about the work that I put in at Exos, the training facility they have there, the people and the trainers, and just the people that I was grinding with every day. Like it was a great time. So glad that the pro day went as well as it did. Did really well in my DB drills too, in my position work, and so I think I got a lot of good eyes on me, and I think a lot of people were able to take that back to the GMs and with good news.
Now, you were one of the more, at least in my opinion, one of the more egregious snubs from the NFL Combine. So, did you go into this pro day almost with like a little bit of a chip on your shoulder, knowing what you were capable of, and you wanted to showcase it in front of the scouts that were there, or did you kind of block that out of your mind?
100%. Like I always have a chip on my shoulder, um, and a lot of that comes from the fact that I went to the academy in itself. And I think that chip on my shoulder started from a really, really young age. Coming out of high school, I had a lot of offers, but not, much. Not the big time offers, I would say. So I had a chip on my shoulder from that, and I had a chip on my shoulder with the lack of respect I feel like a lot of the service academies garner. And then I had a lack of respect personally with the combine, not getting that invite, and every scout in the world, asked me like, "Hey, like, how did that happen? How's that possible?" I'm like, well, one of y'all have to know, 'cause, but no, it definitely helped me out big time throughout the process. Having that chip on my shoulder, like I brought that and took that everywhere, and it's not gonna stop now.
Well, it seems like it fueled you definitely. What led you to going to the Air Force Academy, and what was that decision like for you? What were you torn between? I assume that there was other schools that were courting you.
Yeah. So there were a lot of Ivy League schools. I think every single one but Princeton. So forget them. And then there was let's see who else. There was like Liberty, UNT. Um, I had a bunch of big looks, and honestly, I did the, kind of immature thing, but the dream heavy thing, which was to wait for that big offer to come. And I think a lot of teams, kept me on a string for a little bit, and that's just the way it is with high school and college recruiting. It's literally a business, and so I take that with the good and the bad, but I let that go on for a little bit too long, and so because of that, I missed out on like a lot of good opportunities. But man, God put me in the right position because the academy came back around. They had a few spots still open. I visited Army West Point, and man, I hated it. Anytime I can talk bad about the Army, I will. But
What did you like
uh,
about it?
it's just the feel of the campus, just some of the people that went there. Like I asked some of the players, like honestly, in your position, like would you do this over again? And for that year of players and the guys I was talking to, they said no. And everybody has a different, opinion about it, about every surface academy that you can go to. But like for me to hear that from them when I was about to go in, I'm like, well, it made my decision pretty easy. So I kind of canceled out all military schools, and then one of my best friends from a rival high school, he was already committed there, and he was like, "Bro, please just visit, just take a trip." And so I did, took a little trip out there, saw the mountains, fell in love with some of the people there. The coaching staff was cool. The players were really down to earth. They did a really good job of bringing me in and making me feel at home. And so I committed on my birthday a few years ago, and never looked back.
Now, for those who don't know, and I'm curious myself, what was life like for you as a student athlete at Air Force?
Oh shit. Um, Man, so it depended on the day, but Mondays were by far the hardest days. You started off your day at 6:15. You hear a little freshman in the hallway, which was, me at one point yelling out the meals of the day, the temperature that it was going to be throughout the day, and giving like a news article of the day. And that was a wake up call in itself. So you're getting up pretty early. You got, breakfast from 6:30 to 7:30, 7:30 to 11:30 class or studies. And then 11:30 you have new meal formation, which is basically you getting in line with all your boys and marching to lunch. And then 12 o'clock rolls around. You actually have lunch, 12 to about 12:25, scarf down the food for like 15 minutes, and then roll out the door to more military training. You do that for about an hour. You get about 30 minutes to go down, warm up, and stretch for football. And just watch some film. You do that for that amount of time. You work out, do all the football activities, and then by 7 o'clock, you have a decision to make. Either do a little bit more rehab on your body, or go up and do some homework. Uh, and then you finish that day, and then start everything over on Tuesday without the 6:15 wake up. So that's how it was. At least 4 days out of the week.
Wow, so you're used to regimen.
Oh my
You're very
gosh.
you're used to
Yeah.
having a schedule.
Yeah. And some of the guys I trained with at Exos, like you saw them start to fall off a little bit just because like they've never had that much of a regimen before. Um, but like for me, it's kind of insane how much easier life is when all I have to do is focus on football. This is the first time I've ever been able to sit back and just, you know, do what I love to do like this with football. Like I can stretch, I can, meditate. I can do yoga. I can, go get some therapy in my body, watch film, go to workout. I can do all that and still have, 6 more hours, 7 more hours of the day on my plate. Like at the academy, I did all that and had maybe two left for like real me time. So, um, yeah, this is kind of crazy.
Well, right now you must be conflicted. You might be like, I'm supposed to be doing something right now. I'm so used to having a schedule here.
Nah, I'm taking these hours off. Like I'm giving myself back that time that I never had a few months ago. So like my regimen now is wake up at 8:30, eat breakfast, stretch a little bit, and then 10 o'clock through 12 o'clock is workouts. Right now I'm working out at Exo still, with a lot of the NFL dudes, which is cool because I'm able to size up against them and see how I am in competition with them, which is really fun. And then come home, see my little brother, see my family, and just chill out, and do me. So it's been
Set,
cool.
set, set the scene for me. Who are some of the NFL guys you're going up against? Who are some of the pass catchers?
Brian Branch. Well, me and Brian Branch, we go at it a lot, and it took me a while to even. It took me like 2 days to know that was Brian Branch. 'Cause I like seeing his face, but it was rare that I would see his actual face. I would just see him play on the field, and so like we lined up against each other over and over and over, and doing competition drills. And then I saw on Instagram they tagged us both in like a little reel. I saw it was him, and I was like, "Huh, that's crazy." Because I didn't know exactly who it was at the time, and so I was like, "Man, I hope I'm not like finishing right next to like some bum." But it turned out to be one of the best safeties they got out right now. So um, that's been nice. We don't have many receivers at this Exos, honestly. We have a bunch of DBs. And a bunch of like veteran running backs and D linemen. So, but it's been real good to be with these DBs and really see where I stack up against some of the best they got in the league right now. So it's been fun.
So, and I've seen the evolution of your game at Air Force over the years, and you were a super fun player to watch, especially early in your career because you were just like a heat-seeking missile. You were, sort of like an unrestrained see ball, get ball type of player. But you definitely refined a lot of that skill set as you've grown through the program. Where do you feel, Trey, that you made the biggest strides in your career?
um, that's a really good question. I think I made the biggest strides coming right out of that term back semester, which was the COVID semester for me. The 2020, taking off that season, going back home and helping out with the family and training and doing all that stuff. Um, I came back and I was a bigger body. I was faster. I was stronger. I was quicker than I've ever been. So on the physical side there, but on the mental and football side of things, it was definitely my sophomore to junior year. Like you said, sophomore year, I was running around like a chick with my head cut off. Like I just want to see the ball in the air and or see someone run the ball and go make a tackle. Not really doing my 111th though. And sometimes I would screw people over because I'm trying to do my job plus somebody else's when I just need to be doing mine. Um, so I learned our defense and where I fit into our defense going into my junior year. So I learned where almost everybody is supposed to be on the field and every single one of our calls or any checks I had to make. And so that helped me out big time, So I'm able to slow the game down. And once you get reps after reps after reps after reps of something, start to slow it down like for real. And so it comes to you like a book. Like you've seen it already, you read it already, like, now just taking in the information and react.
That's something that really stands out when you watch your tape. And I think that we should kind of go back and harp on this is your football IQ really stands out. You're like the quarterback of the defense on the back end, which is crucial to playing the safety position, as you know. What do you do in particular outside of getting the reps and things of that nature to really shape that area of your game? Because it's not something that everybody has. It seems to be inherent with you.
Yeah. I mean, I gotta say, like a lot of it's just game study, watching film, seeing quarterback tendencies is a big thing, seeing tackle and center tendencies is a big thing, or seeing, uncovered lineman tendencies is a big thing. Even receiver tendencies, their alignments, where they are on the ball, off the ball, how close they are to the line of scrimmage. how far of a split they have, whether they're aligned, whether it's on the divider or whatever. There's a lot of stuff that I can look at on film, and it's my job to incorporate that into the actual game in itself. Um, and also like talking to people like um, relatives like Ed Reed, and then I have a friend Dante Whitner that I talk to and watch film with both of them, hearing some of the stuff they have to say together. I mean, that's that's like the best you're really gonna hear out of some of the vets. So, um, getting that information and kind of putting that into my game has helped me a lot. And, it's not even just football now. Like they tell me stuff about you know life and investments and how to carry myself and all types of stuff going into this next chapter of my life. So it's good to have people like that in my corner that help me out, not just on the football field, but off of it too.
Since you went there, and I promised I was going to go there later in our conversation, but for those who don't know, Ed Reed is your cousin, NFL Hall of Fame safety. How has he influenced your game?
Well, from a young age, I was about 5 when I first like met him. You hear like, oh, this dude is gonna end up being the greatest of all time, and I'm like, that's cool. Like, it's cool to meet him. I didn't understand how huge that kind of was, but then for him to be tied in with my family and how like prevalent he is in the family, I started to get some knowledge from him early on, and at a young age, it's just him telling you, play fast, have fun out there, enjoy the game. But as I've started to get older, he started to pour in a bunch of resources into me, which has been great. It's been amazing because having somebody like him to learn from, to sit down and actually watch film with after a game, the good, the bad. He's not going to give it to me easy. And at the same time, like even when we're not just talking about football, he's giving me advice on, lawyers and investments and all types of stuff. So there's a lot that I gotta give back to him. And I'm just glad that, we have somebody like that in the family.
Yeah, absolutely. That certainly helps. What kind of specific advice in terms of preparing for the NFL draft has he sort of bestowed upon you?
Actually, honestly, I haven't talked to him much going into the draft. Most of my conversations with him have been more on the lines of like pre-draft processes, what to look for on these visits, um, people that he likes to use when it comes to, handling his money and his resources, and who I should be looking out for, things I should be looking out for with people like that. Some of them can be sharks. um, and what else? Like it's really about how I carry myself going into, this next chapter of my life. Not much. But thank you for saying that. 'Cause it's more questions for me to ask him.
We should talk about your versatility too, Trey, because there's a lot of safeties, even in this draft class. They're box safeties. They can play the run, and they're sort of like a hybrid linebacker. And there's some that are really fluid and adept in coverage, but you can do both. Do you take a lot of pride in being able to do both? And how did you go about sort of melding those two skill sets together? Because initially you were that heat-seeking missile around the line of scrimmage, causing chaos, and then you really grew into your own as a coverage safety.
Yeah. Um, I mean, for me, like we both alluded to, early on, I was a run down safety. Like coverage skills weren't really there, and that just came with a little bit of development. But I take a lot of pride in knowing that you know whatever's on my side of the field, like I have to lock down. And so whether that's a run play coming up in the box or me playing man or zone or a weak rotation where I'm the low defender and I have to make reads and adjust to what the quarterback is doing and what I see on the field. Like there's a lot that comes along with being able to play both. Um, And a lot of that also just comes with knowing the defense and knowing how things work and knowing how to do just my 1/11th. And so being able to do that, like, I feel like I'm one of the best safeties in this draft when it comes to being able to do both. And so I feel like any team that's going to get me is going to realize really soon that, when I get on the field, I can be dynamic, whether it's, doing that, whether it's being a zone defender, man defender, in the box, whether I'm back deep, special teams, whatever they need me to do, like, we're going to get it done. So,
On the field, your eyes and your instincts, obviously, and the ball skills too, really caught my attention. How do you, in particular, Trey, go about working and improving upon your ball skills? Because you took the ball away 3 times this year. You're always around the football. Obviously, it seems like it's a natural thing, but how did you go about refining that area of your game?
honestly, I think it was from playing from so young. I think you start to learn small things like how to really effectively punch a ball out, or you know, just catching the ball, hand-eye coordination. Like, you start to do that over and over as a kid. I think it leads into a lot of what you do as as an adult. But I put in a ton of extra work with some of the quarterbacks that we have at the academy, whether it was doing one-on-ones with receivers in the off season, or just getting kind of routes thrown to me. Like, there are times where I had to turn into the receiver in practice, and so that helped me a lot in games. And then the jug machine was my best friend this past year, and then going into the combine or pro day, because like the one of the biggest things that the scouts write down is, is he scared of the ball? Is he looking it in? How fluid is he when the ball comes to him? Can he catch the ball with his hands? And um, I mean, all defensive coordinators, they want the ball back for the team, and so knowing that, I put a big emphasis on catching the ball, and it's helped. It's paid dividends for sure.
How beneficial was the East West Shrine Bowl for your draft stock, and just for you, just as a player going into the draft?
Yeah, I was just talking to Eric Galco about that. Um, it was everything. One of my biggest question marks was, can you do this type of stuff against real competition? And I'm not gonna say, like, at a shrine ball, just flinging dudes around and throwing them to the ground, but at the same time, like, I was able to prove that I could do anything that they needed me to do against some of the top talent in the country. And so that was really big for me. I think the scouts took a lot of that, took a lot of notes, and realized, like, like, maybe some of these question marks need to be wiped off, because you know I didn't lose. Well, actually, I lost one-on-one rep to Colorado State tight end, which is funny because we go back and forth all the time. Um, but I only lost one rep in one-on-ones. Um, I fit my gaps well. Um, I did small stuff like ask my coaches what I need to work on, like, what do you see out there? And I think a lot of people realize, like, he's a football player and he wants to do this at the best level possible, and he wants to be the best at the best level. So they took that, and like I said, hopefully they bring back to the GMs. We'll see on draft day.
Was there a moment in your career that you can sort of look back on and pinpoint, saying, "Yeah, at that moment, that's when I knew that I could play in the NFL"?
Oh, that's a great question. um, I'll be honest with you. It was somebody else doing it before me. So seeing Jordan Jackson, he got drafted in the 6th round by the Saints. Seeing him go and get drafted like that, I was like, I was a sophomore at the time, and like, people had started saying, like, "Hey, Trey, like, you can go to the league." Like, hey, when that rule got changed for us to be able to go, people were like, "You actually have a legit shot." And then seeing JJ go, I was like, I'm not too far off from him. Like, I feel like this is definitely a possibility for me too. And then we had a DB go, and I was like, I thought he was kind of trash. Like, I feel like I can kind of step in those shoes and take his spot. And so I did that, and it went really well for me. And so I saw JJ go, and I just started to work a little bit harder, elevated my game even more. Me and Bo Richter, our defensive end, we just put a ton of extra work in, and it worked out. It really did work out. Like we saw each other separate from the pack little by little every day, and so it was kind of at that moment that JJ got drafted. I was like, this is definitely a possibility. Because coming to the academy as a freshman, when the rules were the way they were, NFL wasn't even a thought for me. I was like, I want to play as big time ball as I can while still setting up my family for success in the future. With all these benefits and military discounts, like can't can't lose. And I was thinking like 99% of players coming out of high school do not make it. And so, I honestly thought I was going to be in that 99%. But sophomore year when that happened, I was like, I can definitely be that one. So yeah.
Wow. What was your biggest lesson learned throughout your whole college career?
My biggest lesson was probably hmm, and I think it's definitely going to apply to the next level too. You know, there's times where self doubt is going to come into your head. There's going to be times where you might not feel the best. There's going to be times where people talking mess about you in the media and coaching staff and whatever happens. But like finding my people and who I reside with on the team the most, and my friends and my teammates, and like confiding in them. Um, I just learned that that's the way that I best help myself get back to the trait that I really am. When things aren't going as well for me as like I feel like I want to, knowing people that I can trust and people that I can talk to help bring me back to exactly where I want to be. That's huge. And I know how to find those people now, which is great. Because I'm looking forward to meeting those people and making those relationships and building our team chemistry even stronger. But yeah, that was huge for me. And then also going along with what some other people say, because it's hard not to look at media. Like social media is here because it's a platform for people to get news fast, and so um, I think things like not being invited to the Thorp Award, I mean, not being invited to the combine, um, feeling like a little disrespect from some of the NFL, some college coaches, all that type of stuff. I think it just built me and who I am. Like I showed myself how I handled stress, how I handled all types of media attention, whether good or bad, how I handled good and bad times, and I know how to pick myself up and go back to work. So that definitely taught me a lesson for life.
Was earning that Jim Thorpe Award validation, Trey?
Honestly, no, it wasn't. It wasn't. It definitely, it definitely made me feel good. Because like that's like a fraternity, that's like a brotherhood, and I've started to see it already, which is huge. And I'm glad that I got selected for it. I'm glad that I can live out Jim Thorpe's legacy because bigger, really bigger than just football and just the athlete he was. But at the same time, like you see, I got that award, got a bunch of media attention for, you know, a week maybe, and then after that, they go back to, all right, let's look at the dude from Alabama and let's look at the dude from Auburn and the guys that played the big time ball and see how they did against their competition. You're not really worried about the Mountain West, and so I took that and like I said, like the chip on my shoulder. I'm wearing that everywhere I go. Like I remember a funny story. It's Shrine Ball, and during practice we had Muhammad Kamara.
Yeah,
And
Colorado
then
State,
we had Easton Gibbs on our team as well. He's a linebacker from Wyoming.
Wyoming.
They had me, yeah. And so uh, first play of the series, Muhammad made a sack on the quarterback. Then second play, because this is all goal line stuff. Second play, Easton had a pick, basically a pick six, turn all the way to the other end zone. And then third play of the draft, and this last play, I had a PBU in the back of the end zone, and everybody was like, "Whoa!" Like the Mountain West is like representing, and I think we all have like a little chip on our shoulder. The Jim Thorp Award, it helped me a lot getting my name out there for sure. It helped me get my name out there, but I'm not done with it at all. So that was just a start.
Have you given any thought to what you're going to feel when you hear your name called on draft day, Trey?
I ain't gonna lie, like, and I'm not even a crier. That's the thing, but I'm already knowing. Now I get that phone call, and I like hug my dad and hug my mom. Like, yeah, some tears probably gonna come out. I'm getting a lot of thought of it. It's something that I've dreamt of, literally since I was 5 years old. Seeing the draft, um, going on TV, like, man, that would be so cool one day. Um, and so, I kind of got lost in that trajectory coming out of high school just because I felt like I was a little under recruited. But they find good talent anywhere. If you work your butt off, like you can make it happen. And so I feel like I've started to earn the the right to be drafted, and I'm just excited for the call. I can't stop thinking about it, honestly. That's what I think about 24/7, man. So I'm excited for that team that wants me to call me and for me to get to work for them.
Last one before we get out of here. How will you be spending draft weekend?
Yeah, so I'm going back to Colorado Springs, and my sponsor parents, the guys that took care of me when I was at the academy, they're gonna be throwing the party for me. I'm bringing 20 family members and 10 friends, so it's gonna be a good little party. And we're all just gonna celebrate together. We're gonna party. We're gonna get drunk, and we're just gonna celebrate a good time, and hopefully long, healthy, successful career. So it's gonna be good.
Well, I truly can't wait to see how it unfolds, and I'm hoping for the best for you, Trey. I can't wait to see what team you end up with. But that'll do it for this episode of Draft Dreams. For Trey Taylor, I'm Andrew DiCecco. Thanks for watching.